What's up, everyone? I'm Smatherini, also known as Cinders of Hope, and welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. I'm trying out a new layout to see how you like it. If this is better than my original idea of just having the full deck and then stacking it, please let me know. And if you do like the content you see here today, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. Today, I happen to finally my hands on the Primite engine. So we're gonna do Primite Blue Eyes. Now, unfortunately, I did originally trade all of my original Blue Eyes deck and cards, except for a few exceptions. So I am working with a fresh and new structure set of 3 structure decks, and what I had left over. But with all that aside, let us get into the deck. So, this is a solid 40 card deck with a 6 card extra deck, and I want to say a 12 to 13 card extra deck. It might be 14. But overall, very simple. Do note there is one card that is in here for filler, and compared to because I'm missing one card from the Primite engine to make this like fully consistent. But without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start with, I've got it organized by dragons, light tuners, spells and traps, hand traps, extra deck, side deck. And I put the side deck over here so I don't accidentally shuffle it together. So let's start with the dragons. So starting off, we're going to run 3 copies of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Some Primite decks run 2, but I prefer to run 3 just for consistency's sake. But your Blue Eyes White Dragon, it's the main monster of your deck. You can't play a Blue Eyes deck without the Blue Eyes White Dragon. And of course, we've got our lovely Blue Eyes right here. This is literally the card that got me into this card game. So I'm really happy that Blue Eyes got some support. So let's move on to Primite Aether Barrel. Primite Aether Barrel, or Primite Dragon Aether Barrel, will search out one of your I always say search. It sets a Primite spell or trap from your deck to the field, so you can set cards like Lordly Load. This can also allow you to mill a normal monster. So a normal monster is this. It doesn't have any effects or anything. It just has one type. To the grave, and if you control a normal monster or it's in your graveyard, you can bring this back to your hand from the grave during your next standby phase. Very helpful. It is the core one. You want to be running 3 of these guys. I was only able to find 2 at the current time, but I am running an extra effect Veiler that will get replaced. But please, if you can run 3, do run 3. The other Primite cards you can run at 2 and 1, but we'll get to those in just a minute. Now, I like these guys just because they're generic dragons that you can use for a bunch of other things. But we've got 2 bestial monsters, Magnamut and Druid Swarm. These both have the same gimmick of banishing a light or dark monster in any graveyard in order to summon themselves to the field. This one will search you a dragon during the end phase, and this one, if it leaves the field, blows up a card on your opponent's board. Very helpful. Good. However, you're mostly going to use it as more of a hand trap. Kind of a hand trap in this deck, but also as a generic dragon that you can use for something like a synchro summon. Unless it's like a Blue Eyes specific one, then you're going to have to use a Blue Eyes, but we'll get more into that later. Now, as you can see here, we have our 3 Maiden of White. So, to start off our tuners, we have 3 Maiden of White. This is probably one of your best 1-card starters other than Sage with Eyes of Blue. You can discard her to your graveyard to set face up on the field 1 True Light. From there, True Light can either special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, or it can set a spell or trap that isn't already in your graveyard that mentions the Blue Eyes. So essentially, she gets out into your main combos. She can also be special summoned back when you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. She'll come back from the graveyard when you summon a Blue Eyes, and then you can use her to immediately synchro summon into any synchro monster you need. And if she is targeted, you can special summon a Light Tuner or a Blue Eyes monster from your grave. Next, you have probably the best 1-card starter in the deck, but he's also very helpful. He will search you a level 1 Light Tuner. So essentially, you normal summon him. Oh, and this is on normal summon, by the way. You normal summon him, you search your Maiden of White, you go Maiden of White combo in other stuff. Very, very useful. His other effect is to target and special himself to the field by sending 1 card on your field to the grave, which you can use to target your Maiden of White and bring out another Blue Eyes if need be. We will carefully stack these back together. Oopsie, we'll just stack it. That's fine. Next, we're running 2 Effect Veiler. This one is a hand trap, but is also just a generic Light Tuner that can be searched off of Sage, or any card that says add a level 1 Light Tuner. But Effect Veiler can also negate a monster effect till the end of the turn if discarded from the hand. Very, very helpful. It is a quick effect, so you can play it on your opponent's main phase. Actually, sorry, it has to be played on your opponent's main phase. Excuse me. Anyway, now, moving on. You have your field spell, the Mausoleum of White. This will give you an extra normal summon of a level 1 Light Tuner, or you can target a Blue Eyes monster on the field, target a monster you control on the field, mill a Blue Eyes White Dragon to the grave, or a normal monster to the grave, and that monster will gain the attack of the normal monster milled, and it's just a good way to mill a Blue Eyes to the grave, so you could play off of True Light and other cards like Spirit Eyes of Blue, which we'll get into later. Next comes probably your best searching card in the game, in the deck. You're going to be playing 3 copies of Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Wishes for Eyes of Blue will allow you to discard 1 card, add a level 1 Light Tuner, and a spell/trap that mentions the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Sorry, the spell/trap has to mention the Blue Eyes, the other one doesn't. The level 1 Light Tuner doesn't have to mention the Blue Eyes. However, this is very helpful, because this will get you into cards like Roar the Blue-Eyed Dragons, maybe Bingo Machine if you're desperately needing it, or if you already have your Roar the Blue-Eyed Dragons, you can search out cards like Majesty of the Blue-Eyed Dragons, and if you banish this from your graveyard, you can attach a fusion monster from your extra deck to 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field, which helps you go into your Tyrant Dragon. Next, we have Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Played at 1 copy. You don't really need any more. But Roar will allow you to special summon a Blue Eyes monster in defense position. If you do not control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you have to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. I think it's like deck, hand, or graveyard, right? Special summon. Oh, and it dragon locks you in the extra deck. So, very helpful. And if you banish... Now, you can only activate 1 effect of this once per turn. You can only activate 1 copy. However, you can banish this and fusion summon using cards you control. You can fusion summon into a Blue Eyes fusion monster. Next, we're running 2 copies of Bingo Machine Go. This card isn't 100% needed. I'm playing it just as an extra search. If I don't draw a card that I actually need, I can reveal 3 cards from the deck that meets the requirements down here, which has to be either a Blue Eyes monster or spell and trap that mentions the Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then I pick up to 3. My opponent, then I take our 3. Your opponent picks one at random, bing bada boom, you get that card, you shuffle the other 2 back into your deck. Next, we finally get to the Primite spell cards. Starting with our Primite Drill Beam. Primite Drill Beam can activate if you control... Now, if you have a Primite monster in your hand, you can activate it that way. If you control a level 5 or higher Primite monster or a normal monster, you can activate this and negate and banish a monster your opponent controls, or negate the effects of a monster that your opponent controls and banish it. On top of that, if you control a Primite monster during your main phase, you can set this card back to the field. It is a quick play, so you can activate it on your opponent's turn if it is set beforehand. And I think the only copies you can find of it are secret rare printed only. Next, you have your Primite Lordly Load. Lordly Load is a continuous spell that allows you to, when it's activated, add 1 Primite card from your deck to your hand, except for another copy of Lordly Load. But if you declare a normal monster, you can special summon it from your deck. It's like deck, hand, or graveyard. Yeah, hand, deck, or graveyard in defense position, but you can't activate the effects of monsters on the field. So, another caveat there, but also a very useful tool. And that will, it's mostly a searcher card, which is why you want to run more copies of it than Drill Beam, because Drill Beam will also just reset itself. But next, we're moving on to, these are more generic support cards that you can use. This one's mostly for bouncing back. This is Triple Tactics Talent. This, if your opponent activates, say like a hand trap or like Molcharmy, you can either rip a card from your opponent's hand, draw 2 cards, or take control of a monster your opponent controls. Very, very useful stuff. Crossout Designator. This one is very simple. All you have to do is say your opponent activates an Ash Blossom. You can take an Ash Blossom that you already control, that you have in your deck, banish it, and negate your opponent's Ash Blossom. So it's essentially just good counterplay. Moving on, we now have the trap cards. So, True Light. I mentioned the effects here earlier. You can either special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or graveyard, or set a spell or trap that from your deck that mentions the Blue Eyes White Dragon that is different than spells or traps that you already have in your graveyard. But if this card is removed from your field, say by cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, or you can also blow it up using other cards that we can get into later, like Lightstorm Dragon. This will blow up all other monsters on your field. Very annoying, very, very much a pain in the ass, but most of the time your opponent's going to try and go for that. However, you have other ways of negating your opponent from destroying that card. Now, ignore the Ritual Summon effect on this. You don't need to Ritual Summon with a Blue Eyes deck at all. But this one is, if you have all 3 of your Blue Eyes White Dragons, which is why I run 3, in the graveyard, or in your grave, in your hand, or on the field, you can you reveal them, and you can blow up 3 cards on your opponent's field. So essentially, it's just card removal. Very good against Malice, considering that they don't have a lot of card removal. Infinite Impermanence, a classic, negate a monster's effect. And if it is set to the field, it will negate the spell and trap card zone that is directly across from it on your opponent's field. It does not negate the entire row. The wording's weird. Now, the other card you want Now, the other thing is if you do not control any cards on your field, you can just activate this from the hand. So if you draw this and your opponent's going first, you can just slap one of these bad boys down and boom. You can just negate stuff. And it's not once per turn, which is very, very annoying and could totally stop your opponent from making big plays if you hit the right card. As you can see, and of course, spells and traps are a reasonably decent chunk of the deck. You're gonna have more spells than traps, but still. Next, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Ash Blossom is very simple. It's a classic. You discard it from your hand and either stop your opponent from adding a card from deck to hand, special summon from deck, and sending a card from deck to grave. Now, the main reason why you're going to be running your Ash Blossoms is to stop the Molcharmy cards, considering that they add cards from deck to hand, making them ashable. That is our first hand trap. Droll and Lockbird. There are a lot of decks, including Blue Eyes itself, that adds from deck to hand in their big main combos. Droll and Lockbird prevents your opponent from adding from deck to hand for an entire turn unless it's counterplayed. But other than that, that is the entire effect of Droll and Lockbird. It's very helpful. It will stop Blue Eyes, it'll stop Hero, it'll stop Ryzeal. And sometimes if you do it right, it can stop Malice, though Malice has a bit more that can play through it. Play through Droll instead, but it can stop some big plays with Malice. Next, speaking of Malice counters, this guy is really helpful. Say your opponent, because if your opponent either has like a really annoying field that they've set up during their end phase, or you went first, either way, you're going to, as long as they summon at least 5 cards, you can drop a Nibiru on them, and boom, bada bing, Giant Rock removes all of the other monster cards from the field. Preferably want to play this guy on your opponent's turn. Your opponent, in return, will gain a token with the original attack and defense of all monsters that they lost to their field. Now, Malice does have a way of countering through this by playing something like Link Spider, which is a Link 1, where you can use the token to make a link and then play back off of that. However, most of the time, they're probably not going to be able to. Now, that's the main deck. Let's do extra, then side. Starting with 2 copies of Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Spirit is very helpful. This is the card that is going to search out your Mausoleum of White, getting you your field spell. Then you can blow this guy up on the field and or you tribute him, and then he specials out a Blue Eyes monster that is in your graveyard. However, if it is an effect monster, you cannot activate the effects of that monster. And of course, there is another caveat: you can only summon dragon monsters while this guy is on the field. It's going to heavily dragon lock you. Now, Lena the Light Charmer, Lustrous. This is really just to counter Fiendsmith. This can special summon a light monster from your opponent's grave, and this should be a quick effect, right? You can target one light monster in your opponent's grave, special summon it to a field zone that this card points to. So say it's in your link zone, anything that it points to, you can summon it to, that monster too. This is mostly to rip Fiendsmith and Gravers out of your opponent's graveyard, so that way they can't finish the turn. If it was a quick effect, that would be even more helpful, but it can also just, and if it's sent to the grave, I do believe it summons back a light monster, right? If this summoned card is destroyed by battle or is destroyed by opponent's card effect, while its owner's monster zone, you can add one light monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, so it adds a level 1 light. It adds a light monster from your deck to your hand. All right, let's get into Black Rose Dragon. This one's very simple. If your opponent summons a level 5 or higher monster, or if you summon this guy to the field via special summon, you can go ahead and blow up a card, one of these special summon monsters, on your opponent's field. Very helpful. And on top of that, it can be tagged in via spirit. Any light monster, that is, any light synchro monster, can be tagged in with Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Very helpful, very annoying at times. Next, we have Lightstorm Dragon. I was just talking about this guy. So, up to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard, you can destroy a spell and trap that is on your opponent's field. So, that's what this guy does. He's also you can also tag him in using Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Next, we have Virtual World, I want to say it's Kyubi Shenshen. I don't actually know how to say one of those words. This one is simple. Your graveyard, both graveyards, instead of cards going to your graveyard, they go to the banishment zone instead. This is for both players, meaning this can also count. Now, also a lot of people are going to go, oh, well, this is going to be kind of useless against Malice. That's where you're wrong. This can hard counter Malice in the fact that they have to over-banish their monsters to where they won't come back, which is also very useful. Next, we have probably the most important synchro monster in your deck. You have Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Now, this one is very helpful. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time once per turn. When a card effect is activated in the graveyard, quick effect, you can negate the card effect. And then quick effect, you contribute the synchro summon card to special summon light synchro monster from your extra deck in defense position, except for this card, but destroy it during the end phase. So actually, I forgot to put 1 copy of Azure Eyes Silver Dragon in here, which can mitigate that effect and say cards that were special synchro summon monsters or something like that that were special summoned can't be destroyed this turn or by effects this turn or something. I can't remember. Now, this is the one you're going to want to tag into the most. This is your Omni Negate right here, your Ultimate Spirit Dragon. Ultimate Spirit Dragon is going to have 2... Oh, and your opponent cannot activate cards like the Bestials to banish from your graveyard. So very helpful. This also counters cards like Whitebinder. But you can Omni-Negate any card effect that your opponent plays as long as it's on their field. And if this guy is destroyed by card effect or just destroyed in general, you can special back a light synchro monster from your grave. I think it's just a light monster, right? Battle or effect, you can special summon Light Dragon monster. Yeah. So essentially you just use it to recycle your Spirit Dragons. Crimson Dragon. This one's very helpful because you can either use it to make another copy of... You can either use it to make like Shen, or you can use it to make another copy of Spirit Dragon that permanently stays because it ignores the effects of the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, because this guy returns to the extra deck via its effect, which is you can tag this guy. You can target one monster that is like level 12, a synchro monster that is like level 12, and summon out another level 12. Essentially, you just summon another synchro monster that's the exact same level as the one targeted with this guy's effect. Now, these two go hand in hand, but we've got Tyrant Dragon and Yugioh Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This one is an Omni Negate in the grave, but you want to attach this to your Blue Eyes White Dragon by using Wishes for Eyes of Blue, and then you tribute that Blue Eyes with this guy attached, send them to the grave, and you summon your Tyrant Dragon. And Tyrant Dragon's effect is that it is unaffected by trap cards and their effects. Now, it just says trap cards and effects. It is immune to specifically trap cards and residual effects of trap cards. It is not immune to all card effects. and it can return a normal trap to your field. Hold on, I can't breathe. I need to slow down. It can return a trap card that was removed from your field during the end phase, and it can attack all of your opponent's monsters once. Okay, it's the main, that's the extra. Let's get into the side. Side is really simple. Heartbeast Feather Duster, remove all spells and traps your opponent controls. Forbidden Droplet, infinite impermanence, except you have to discard cards, and depending on what type the card is, whether it's a spell, trap, or monster, your opponent can't respond with effects of that card type. And then we have Artifact Lancia. Stop you and your opponent from banishing for an entire turn. So essentially, if your opponent's playing Malice, it's a Malice counter. That's the only reason why you want to run it. It's just anti-Malice. How long is this? 25 fucking minutes to explain all that? Now, I'm going to try and do some test hands. I will probably, I'll just go ahead and play with an optimized hand here, so that way I can show you a very simple combo setup that thankfully cannot be interrupted because I'm playing against no opponents. I'll cut the deck, and we'll just go ahead and... So let's get that optimized hand out of the way. So, probably going to want this guy. You're going to want your... Probably a cross out. You're going to want one of those. You're going to want a copy of Sage. And we really just need like a generic third. So let's just say we have... Oh, let's just say we have like an Ash Blossom in hand. Actually, probably a reasonably optimized hand right there, considering that Molcharmy is a pain in the ass to put up with, so you could just hard counter your opponent's Molcharmies. Now, I'm going to be using this field spell because it matches the color palette, and 2 tokens. So, let's start with some combo lines. We're going to do this one really simple combo. Let's get into it. Start, you normal your Ether Barrel. Ether Barrel effect add upon normal summon. Add your Lord, or not add, set your Lordly Load. Then, we're going to activate its other effect, milling a Blue Eyes from deck. Then, Link 1, making Spirit Dragon. Now, because Ether Barrel is a level 4 dragon monster, it meets the requirements to make this guy. So, then all we have to do is search our field spell. Where? I know I've passed Mausoleum. I know I did. I scroll right past it every time. There it is. Mausoleum of White. We'll add it to our hand. Then we'll activate our Mausoleum of White. We'll target and mill another Blue Eyes from our deck off of his effect. So we'll mill another Blue Eyes White Dragon to the grave. From here, now that we have our extra normal summon of a level 1 Light Tuner, we'll take our level 1 Light Tuner and normal summon him. Now, I think I might have said this guy stops you from summoning anything but dragon monsters. It is special summoning. My apologies. Now, he's going to search out our Maiden of White. Maiden of White will pitch herself to set a True Light face up on your board. So we'll set that. Then we'll activate Primite Lordly Load. Lordly Load will go ahead and you're going to search your Drill Beam. So, there you go. Now you have another negate. Nope, actually can't activate that because I don't control either. Now, I will wait till the closer to my end phase or end of turn to play the Lordly Load because I have an idea that I want to use for it. Don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. So we're going to start. We're going to pitch a Blue Eye. We're going to pitch to summon a Blue Eyes. Maiden of White comes back to field. I always summon the Blue Eyes in the fence. Don't know why. I just do. Now, here we go. We're going to, yeah. So, yeah, we special our Blue Eyes. We've made that. We don't need to search off of wishes with this, but we are going to synchro summon. We're going to synchro summon, so we should probably search wishes. We're going to sync and make our first Spirit Dragon. Then we're going to True Light to summon a Blue Eyes. And of course, there we go. We summon, then we go ahead and we make another spirit. We'll put that spirit in the extra monster zone, which is back under here because this thing has to be in the way. But there's a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon right there in the extra monster zone. Then from here, yeah, I say what we do. We'll go ahead and we'll banish our Sage. We really don't need to hold on to Sage for now, so we can banish our Sage Eyes of Blue to summon our Bestial Magnamut, and we'll use it to search a dragon monster during the end phase. Now, from here, I don't know what to do. Yeah, don't need the Synchro Summon in, because we'll just tag out one. To make, yeah, okay, I see what we do. Okay, hold on. We're gonna start by tagging out one of these guys to make we're gonna make a copy of our Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon is going to target our other spirit down here since it's a level 9. He blows up. And we make another level 9. And so we make another level 9 monster from our extra deck. This is where we make our Shen Shen. Because now, during the next turn, we get to be annoying as hell. So, and then we set 1, we set 2, then we go ahead and we activate Primite Lordly Load. To go ahead and declare we have to declare a Blue Eyes. We'll declare the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and unfortunately we can't activate effects during the rest of this turn, but that as long as it's a monster on the field. However, because this was already declared, and it is part of the active effect, so end phase you get to add your dragon. You get to add your dragon monster. So all you have to do is search your primite. You search your other primite Aether Barrel, or one of your others, and you pass. Now, this is a weird board to pass on, but it'll make sense in a little bit. See, Shen Shen is going to stop your opponent from doing annoying shit, essentially. Your opponent can't use anything in their graveyard, so everything they play into the graveyard they immediately lose. It is all banished instead. This also unfortunately affects me, but it shouldn't do a whole lot in the long run. Now, from here, typically we'd want to tag this guy out into the Omni Negate, which is probably the best idea. Yeah, so we're going to tag this guy out to the Omni Negate, making our Spirit Dragon. Making our Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, which we can now use to negate monster effects on top of having our Drill Beam. So, from here, since we control our opponent's going to activate an annoying effect, we're going to negate and banish the card. Then, of course, we now have to activate. Then we activate this guy to negate as well. It'll gain 1,000 attack off of its own negate effect. Then, oh shit, I just lost my drill beam. Okay, we're not gonna activate drill beam. I see why people don't play this guy. But we're gonna activate that. Then we go ahead and we special summon a blue. Then during the end phase, you want to special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon back to your field. No, there's no point. We're already controlling one, so we'll just say our opponent ends. We'll take this guy will blow up, and we'll get another Spirit Dragon back. And he is unfortunately also banished. But that is fine. Next, main phase. So, standby. During the standby phase, we are going to get back our Primite Ether Barrel. So now we have 2 barrels in hand. And what we're going to do, this was why I was playing SP Little Knight. Fuck. Anyway. Actually, I see what we can do if we do this right. Okay, there's a way of getting rid of this asshole. It's called link summoning. Do they both have to be? Nope. Okay, so we're going to link away both of those. And so since this guy's leaving the field, so does his effect. So we now make you. So now we don't really need this. We just need to remove Shen Shen from the field. Next, we're going to make Ether Barrel Dragon. And I don't know how this would work, because technically I'd have to... Oh. Hold on. Since I'm already using a link... Oh, we got to keep this guy on the field. We have to link into the extra monster zone. We have to link away our Spirit Dragon, which is fine. We can play around that. Okay. Now then, what we're going to do is we're going to True Light. We're going to True Light. True Light. Oh, I forgot to... There's no point in searching off barrel right now. We're going to True Light, setting a copy of Wishes. We're going to wish for Eyes of Blue. Wishes is going to... Oh, we have to discard a card. Hold on. Discard, then add. Yeah, we'll discard the other Aether Barrel. It's fine, we're not playing it anyway. So, all we do is search a level 1 Light Tuner, so... Fuck, we'll just search an Effect Veiler, and we'll search a copy of Roar. Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons is going to be the one card that's going to save this entire play. Ready? Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. This should special summon... you can special summon from deck, graveyard, or banishment. So, since I do control blue... But I do control Blue Eyes White Dragon, but we're going to special out another one, because it'll bring back our main white. And boom. That is all we needed to do. Because now, we synchro summon. We synchro. We make Spirit Dragon. We'll summon it in attack position, because we'll know later. But, like I said, Wishes has a banishment effect. We banish the Wishes. And because I organize my extra deck, we attach this guy to our Blue Eyes, then we tribute them both to summon Tyrant Dragon. And just like that, we now have tons of damage. See, that's a lot of damage. And because this guy attacks every individual monster your opponent controls, you can go ahead and probably swing in for game right here. There you go. And of course, our 2 face downs were Drill Beam and Crossout Designator. alongside having an Ashen, 2 Veilers in hand. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with friends. And I have been Smatherini, also known as Cinders of Hope, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.